Did Darwin plagiarize the core concepts of evolution? My comment: as we discussed in video 1 of this series, it is not unusual for atheists to hero-worship Darwin as a deep original thinker who uniquely discovered evolution by random variations and natural selection. However, historical evidence indicates that there was nothing original to Darwin about change in species by random variations and natural selection. As we have discussed in other videos, random variations and natural selection can cause microevolution, small-scale changes inside a species or genus, but not mega-evolution, the atheist myth of single-cell to human evolution. The reason for the widespread unthinking acceptance of naturalistic mega-evolution in the West is because it is a metaphysical, atheist, state-sponsored doctrine that is enforced in the educational system, despite the fact that the scientific evidence does not support it. Quote, Gary Hitch. Let's see what historians have written on Darwin's plagiarism, manipulations, and deceptions. Item 1. Darwin. Darwin altered his original manuscript of his Beagle Voyages to make it look like he came up with his evolution before Blyth, Wallace, and all the others he plagiarized. Item 2. Gruber. A study by Professor Howard Gruber found, by comparing the 1839 and 1845 accounts of his Beagle trip, that Darwin altered the former account to imply that Darwin the creationist became Darwin the evolutionist, or at least was well on his way to becoming an evolutionist as early as 1839. Howard Gruber, Darwin on Man, A Psychological Study of Scientific Creativity, University of Chicago Press, 1974. Item 3. Davis. Darwin altered his 1839 account by inserting new paragraphs and sections dealing with evolutionary ideas to give the impression that he originated the theory of evolution by natural selection while on his Beagle trip. Davies, The Darwin Conspiracy, Origins of a Scientific Crime, p. 34. Item 4. Waller. Waller concluded that historical research has proven beyond doubt that the belief that humans represent the latest stage in the transmutation of unicellular organisms had been put forward by dozens of naturalists between 1800 and 1859. Item 5. Waller. More specifically, the long-standing idea that Darwin invented the idea of evolution itself is entirely fictitious. John Waller, Fabulous Science, Fact and Fiction in the History of Scientific Discovery, New York, Oxford, 2002, p. 181. Cited in The Dark Side of Charles Darwin, p. 140. Quote, Margulis and Sagan. Darwin would have us believe that the entire concept of evolution originated with him. He consistently failed to credit his energetic paternal grandfather, Erasmus Darwin. The contribution of Erasmus, who wrote in Zoonomia 1794 to 1796 about evolution by natural selection, was taken as less than serious by his grandson. Item 6. How about a short list of those who wrote of evolution way before Darwin? Count of Buffon, 1707 to 1788. Denis Diderot, 1713 to 1784. Pierre-Louis Maupertuis, 1698 to 1759. Benoît de Maillet, 1656 to 1738. Charles de Secondat de Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755. De Vries, Patrick Matthew, Johann Wolfgang Goethe, in 1795. Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck, in 1809. Darwin's grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, and in Darwin's time anonymously, by Robert Chambers in 1844. Item 7. Chambers. Robert Chambers, 1802-1871. His book Vestiges of the Natural History of Creation was first published in 1844. Without Chambers' book, Darwin admitted that he might never have written The Origin of Species. Quote, Garfield. No less a scientific giant than Charles Darwin has been accused of failing to acknowledge his intellectual debts to researchers who preceded him. Lauren Isley argues that Blyth wrote on natural selection and species evolution in 2 separate papers published in 1835 and 1837, years before Darwin's Origin of Species was published in 1859. Isley details similarities in phrasing, the use of rare words, and the choice of examples between Blyth's and Darwin's work. While Darwin quotes Blyth on a number of points, he doesn't reference Blyth's papers that directly discussed natural selection. Eugene Garfield, From Citation Amnesia to Bibliographic Plagiarism, Current Contents 23, 1980, p. 504 to 505. Conclusion. It is not unusual for atheists to hero-worship Darwin as a deep original thinker who uniquely discovered evolution by random variations and natural selection. However, that is just another atheist, false myth. Historical evidence indicates that there was nothing original to Darwin about change in species by random variations and natural selection. As we have discussed in other videos, random variations and natural selection can cause microevolution, small-scale changes inside a species or genus, but not mega-evolution, the atheist myth of single-cell to human evolution. The reason for the widespread unthinking acceptance of naturalistic mega-evolution in the West is because it is a metaphysical, atheist, state-sponsored doctrine that is enforced in the educational system, despite the fact that the scientific evidence does not support it. Thanks to Gary Hitch for the quotes and text above. The conclusions are mine. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or if you would like to add your thoughts.